So if you look back to some of my earlier videos on this channel, I started off doing rooftop tent reviews. And over the years, I've done several rooftop tent reviews, and most of them have been very expensive. My earliest one was a GFC. I've done 2 iCampers, several different other very expensive tents, including a James Baroud, which is a nearly $5,000, $6,000 tent. Now, I'm sure to a lot of you guys that just doesn't make a ton of sense. A super expensive tent, if you go maybe a few times a year, or if you're just not that fancy of a person, doesn't make a lot of sense. So what I have today is a Top Oak Galaxy 1.0. This tent right here is about $1,300, $1,299, and you get a ton of stuff for that. There are also a ton of accessories that go with this, and they are also similarly budget as well. So first off, you will notice this is a wedge style tent. Now, I've had a few wedge style tents, and typically they come in right across here. Now, this one's a little bit different in that it actually has a little U-piece that comes back, and it gives a lot more headroom in the back. So it actually has a lot more headspace in there if you need to change, or you just want a little bit more space while you're inside the tent. So you'll notice here that this pops out, and that is easily extended and supported by 2 on either side, 1 on this side and 1 on that side, 2 actual poles that actually keep this extended. Now, it is really strong and it's not going to go anywhere, so I really do like that design. This one is also really cool in that it has a very large opening here, 1 on the other side, and then 1 on the back there. Not only are they windows, but they are entry, because you do actually get a spot here, 1 on the other side, and 1 on the back where you can attach your ladder. So you basically get the ability to kind of use any of the windows however you'd like, any of the doors however you'd like, and enter wherever you want. So one really cool thing about this design where it comes back like this is that you don't just have the 3 windows here. You've got 1 here, 1 over there, 1 in the back, and then 1 up here on top. So it's kind of like the iCamper where you get that sky view on the top, and it's nice at night. You can look up and see the stars, or if you just want to pop your head out and get some photography, it is really cool just to have as sort of a skylight. So you will notice in here that you actually do have a ton of storage. So over here on this side, you've got a little storage compartment there. You've got another storage compartment on the other side, exactly the same. And then you've got this sort of suspended one right here. So this one's really great when you're camping because you can put, iPads, your phone, wallet, keys, all of that stuff inside of here. And it is a really nice storage compartment. So you've got 6 compartments here. One of them is see-through. However, that is a netting. So while you could potentially put like an iPad in there and watch movies, it would have like sort of a netting on it. And maybe it doesn't make much sense. Another really cool thing about this is that you can keep a little power bank in this compartment right here, and then that will actually activate the light up here. Now, I've had some pretty expensive tents in the past, and those did not even come with lights. So essentially in the past, I've just bought some lights, which you can do for about 50, 60 bucks that actually attach up there. But this one does come with its own light up there, and I will show you guys how that works, but it is pretty simple. If you have like a little tiny power bank, this doesn't take up a lot of wattage, so you can get one of those little power banks that are about the size of a phone, put it in there, and then you can activate the light. There is a dial on this side that you can use. So on the inside here, we do have a pretty decent mattress. It is quilted. It's a little on the firmer side. So if you like that firm, supportive sleeping, this is really great. If you do want something a little bit softer, you can go with like a Hest like I have, or just add like a little topper to it. And another addition is you do actually have this surface down here, which is kind of the anti-moisture mat down here. Now this adds a slight bit of squish as well, so you do get that additional support in there. And realistically, at the end of the day, it is a camping mattress inside of a rooftop tent. So this is about as comfortable as my GFC or, any other tent like that, I've got really no complaints, but it's definitely not as comfortable as, let's say, my Hest mattress. So I do want to say that these actually do roll up. I just don't have them rolled up because I'm putting them up, taking them down over and over again, so I haven't done that. But you can see right here and on this side as well, you do have the ability to roll these up if you'd like. So they do actually roll down, which I haven't had on any of my rooftop tents. I think most of them roll up. Maybe my iCamper did, I think, but for the most part, I think most of them open up. I have no complaints about it opening down, no water pooling or anything like that, so no issues there. So you'll see here on the top, this is also quilted as well. I do not know the R value on this, but it does have a fabric, and then additionally it has a hard shell on the outside, so I would imagine the R value is fairly high. We've got the mattress here, then we've got the moisture layer, we've got a felts layer there as well, and then we have the steel. Now we've got essentially 4 different layers on there. I don't have the R value off of hand, but I would imagine it would be fairly high with all of those layers. If you're not familiar with R value, just know that a higher R value means that it is better insulated from the cold. Now this tent is especially good for insulation. It does have its own insulation layer that you can add to it, which I've never owned in any tent I've ever had. So I did set up the actual insulation, and I do want to say that with any insulation layer that you're going to add to this, let's say you're winter camping, I can't think of a single tent that is going to be able to close with that insulation in there. This tent is no different. All right, so I just want to clarify something I said earlier. You totally can close this with the insulation kit inside. If you look in here, you'll see that we had the insulation kit in here the whole time, and it totally did close in here. I don't know that you'd be able to fit anything else in here with that, but you could close it with the insulation kit. I tried it the first time when I first got this, but now that I've been, I've had this for probably a month, after about 15-20 times opening and closing this, I can easily fit this in here, no problems. Although I don't think anything else would fit in there. This is one of the easiest closing tents I've ever had. There's no forcing it. You don't have to sit on top of it to close it. It is very easy to open and close. And really, other than having to do the standard chop to the sides, which is essentially when you're closing it, you just have to make sure the fabric is kind of chopped in there and not on the outside of this. Other than that, this is one of the easiest open tents I've ever tested. So like I said, you do have the pole right here that's going to make this extend, and then you do get that extra skylight up here on the top, and there is your light right up there. So you've got all of this. I would consider this to be premium features on this tent. I've had some very expensive hardshell tents that have had a lot less than what this tent has. So we can go ahead and talk about some accessories and the ones that I have compared to what's out there. Realistically, I just went with the crossbars. On the other side, this is the insulation layer here. So inside of this bag, you do have the layer of insulation, which is going to keep you a lot warmer in winter, spring, and fall. If you live anywhere like I do, I live in Colorado, and even in spring and sometimes even summer, it will get very cold here at night. So having the insulation layer is a really nice addition. And essentially, this will just connect in the corners up on the top, and it will keep the entire inside insulated and keeping you warm at night. There are a few tent companies that have this. It's not a very common item to get with your rooftop tent. At one point when I had my GFC, I considered making one of these myself, paying to make it myself, so it is really nice that they already designed it. So this does have an actual rainfly on it, and that does come from the top here all the way down to this little back portion right here, which is essentially all you would need for a rainfly. This doesn't really need a rainfly on it. It is perfectly fine like that. And you can adjust this if you need to, but I find it sufficient as it is. Essentially, this is your power button here. You turn it on and off, and that runs up here. And then you've got your light, and you can dim that. It is quite a significant difference from dim to bright. This is a really nice feature. Like I said earlier, you do have this storage here, this one right here, this top part right here, which has 6 different compartments. Then when you come up to the rear back here, you have a compartment right here, one right here, one over there, and one over there as well. There is also an additional one that I believe is in the back of my car right now, but that is additional storage. So another feature that I've not had on any of my tents, even the more expensive ones, this is an actual vent here. So on this side, you can kind of see it. So if it does get wet on the inside here and you need to air it out in the morning or something like that, you've got these little nets on either side over there, and then you've got this little hood to protect it from getting any rain from the outside or snow or anything like that. So it is a really nice way of actually airing out the tent if you do get moisture in there, which if you've ever been in a rooftop tent before, you're likely just going to get moisture in there just from breathing alone. So that is a really cool premium feature on this very much budget rooftop tent. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here at the crossbars. This is a super easy install here. All you're going to do is tighten this down here on this, just enough on this to get this so it's still a little bit loose, but it's kind of close. Once you do that, this is just going to screw in a really cool way, because in a lot of other ones you'll need like T-nuts to go in there, but this one just uses regular nuts in there. So you screw both of these down on here, make sure you get the other side level as well. But it's very easy. And then if you need to put anything up here, you'll just take this out. You can just knock it with like a key or something like that, and it'll pop out and just kind of pop it back in there. But yeah, that's the crossbar there. Super easy install. You know, you could do this with 2 people. I did it with just me and it was fine. I would say go ahead and close this. Don't do it when it's open, but if you do it when it's closed, these won't, the nuts in here won't slide on you, so you should be fine there. But just make sure you keep this somewhat tight, but still able to move, so that when you put this on, it will slide into place correctly. All right, so this is the inside here with the insulation. This is really easy to do. You just have 3 that you connect right there. Little hooks here. You've got 3 of those across. So basically, once you get it in here, you just tuck it under this. And there you go, you've got your insulation layer right there. And it's got its own separate zippers from the tent itself. So easily be insulated in here. The only thing is you can close it with this in here, but you do have to disconnect all of those and all of those as well. A little bit of light up there on the top. Yeah, but the rest of it, it is a little bit darker in here with that. Now I will say one downside is you can't use the light in here when you have the insulation layer in, but I'm pretty sure you could figure that out with a different kind of light. Just really the only downside in here with the insulation layer is that. At the time of filming this, this is like $1,300, a very low entry level into the rooftop tent game, especially considering this is a hard shell rooftop tent. Back in like 2017, 2018, when I bought my old soft shell rooftop tent, I believe that one is actually more expensive than this one is. So crazy how far rooftop tents have come, even with the crazy inflation we've had the last couple years. The second one is, this is a lockable tent. It does come with this key here. Now this does look like something out of like a murder mystery, but it does do the job and it works really well. Essentially at the end of the day, it is a little triangle. So if you did have one of these tents, you could open somebody else's, but the likelihood of that happening is incredibly low. So yeah, I do like that this has a locking part of it. The only other tents I think that I've tested that have that function is the iCamper, and that is a little bit more expensive, obviously, but that is the only other one I know of that has that locking feature to it. Now the next is going to be this sort of out design here, where instead of just kind of being a sloped triangle, it comes out back here. Now obviously this is not the first tent company to do that. I believe the first time I ever saw it was on a roof nest. Then I believe the Aspen Light from FSR does that as well. But I will say, for a budget rooftop tent, this is a really cool feature, and it definitely gives you a lot more headroom. So you also do get a shoe bag that comes included with that. That is a really great accessory. I know on some other tent companies I've had, that is an additional like 60, 70, 80, maybe even $100 to get that additional shoe bag on there. So that is really cool. It does have crossbars, which is great. You can add those on. It is an additional cost for those, but that is a really cool accessory. Another pro, which is something I've never had before, is that insulation layer. So if you're like me, I know a lot of views on my channel have come from winter camping. That insulated layer is really great to have. So that is actually a really nice, cheap option for insulation. And with that back part, that does leave the openings for the windows to be much larger, so you'll actually get a lot more light in there, and it's easier to get in and out of. Now the biggest con for me personally, this one is not a lightweight tent. I believe this is something around 170 pounds. Now that isn't the heaviest tent I've seen by any means. I mean, there's a lot of tent manufacturers out there with 225, 250 pound tents. That's just not something I would personally run. But that being said, if weight is not an issue for you and you're looking for a wedge style tent that has a lot more room back here, and it's a little bit cheaper, or a lot cheaper than a lot of the other options out there, I think this is a really great option for you guys. Let me know in the comments if you have any more questions. Comment below, let me know. I'll try to answer what I can, or direct you guys to someone who can answer it. That being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. So right now I have a fiberglass shell on the back of my Tundra. This is